All right, welcome back to KUM News Extra. We're still talking to Kathy Gogui, Ivan Kanata, and Joe Cameron, three more members of Governor Calvo's cabinet, and three people that at PBS, the Guam EPA, and the Department of Chamorro Affairs, respectively, trying to do some really great things and kind of change up the government, make you proud of your government. Now, one thing I want to ask each of you, and this is a question that we've posed to the last two chiefs executive here on the island. This is something I asked Governor Gutierrez way back, and this is something I asked Governor Camacho, I should say, during his tenure. Public sector employment. For so many years on the island, I'm old enough to remember when, if you worked for the government of Guam, that was a thing of distinction. It was a thing that you could say, hey, my uncle or my dad or my grandfather is, at Rev and Tax, or he's, at the hospital and everything. A generation growing up on Guam knew it as, it became more of a punchline, admittedly. And they say, oh, you couldn't have gotten into some bank or something like that, you wound up at, such and such agency and everything. With each of your areas of expertise and scope of responsibilities and everything, how do you intend to change the public perception of the people's government? Both within the scope of your own agencies and then, abroad as a team.
With me at PBS, based on your bio that you read, I was in the government, went back out into the private sector, and had so much fun with it. And when I was asked if I would be interested in PBS, I thought that there's a reason for everything, and I took the opportunity, leaving something I enjoyed doing. You mentioned in my bio that we started a company that did local production. We're like one of the only agencies full-fledged that do PR, marketing, and then production work.
The money's not bad.
The money isn't bad. And we were able to, within a 6-month period, put on 7 local shows. On a dedicated channel. And so it was really exciting that we were able to provide local programming for people who have so much to offer in terms of wanting to show their skills, if it was cooking, and we're talking all local folks, right? Cooking or lifestyles and stuff like that. So for me to go into PBS, I think it was a perfect fit, and I still enjoyed working out in the private sector, and I know I can fall back on that. It's not like I've come from one government agency to another and I don't know what it's going to be like to go out in the private. I've come from the private sector. I just finished up my stint with the private sector. And so going into PBS, where I was asked if I would come and join the administration, and I felt really honored that the governor had asked me. I wasn't looking for a job back in the government, but the fact that he thought I could help his administration move in a new direction, I really feel privileged to do that.
Okay, Ivan, your thoughts?
Well, the private sector is very competitive when it comes to employing people here on island. And while I was the chief engineer, I had lost 3 people to the private sector, and because it is a lot greener on the other side. They were pretty much long-time employees, upwards to 10 years with Guam EPA. And I took a look around and I said, I also came from both government and private sectors. Before I came to Guam EPA, I was in the private sector, in the petroleum industry. And of course the money is good. Every time I stepped into the government sector, in fact, my compensation package goes down. And so I understood that, I accepted the responsibility, and I felt that in the public sector, I was providing service that I had learned from life experiences that could benefit the people of Guam. And so I offered those services as a public sector employee. And in the past, that service was really one of the main attractions that people had to come into work for Government of Guam. And I'd like for that service concept to return, because providing the service to the people of Guam is really very gratifying. But the compensation, like you said, is a lot greener on the other side. So it has to be a main attraction to come into the government sector.
And for so many people out there, like in the government, the hardworking people and the people that are in it for the right reasons, and the people that really love the community, they love the people, and they love the island.
That's right.
They realize that it's a privilege, not a right, or it's not just a transitional job and everything. So, Joe, your own experience again is interesting because you've been here for the long haul and you've been at so many different agencies. What are some of the changes that you think Governor Calvo is putting upon you managers to bring to this new government?
Well, first of all, private industry is what made America so great, and we know that without private industry and their input, the revenues will not stream into this government. And I think Department of Chamorro Affairs, a lot of people think it's a line agency, and it's not. Actually, the Department of Chamorro Affairs is a public corporation, and it should run as a corporation. And I worked in private sector as well in between times. And I bring to the table marketing. I'm a behaviorist by trade and by study. I'm very artistic as well. I have taught many years in the art world, and I love the idea of bringing back the antiguo.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really important that we need to market, because we're not a line agency per se, and we've got avenues that Governor Calvo wants addressed. He wants Hagatnya back to the economic strides it used to have. Hagatnya is a big thing for this administration, and I'm up to that challenge. The Chamorro Village, we have many, many things in store. By the way, the Chamorro Dictionary is no longer $50. It's now $25. I cut it in half. I want every Chamorro to have a copy of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's also something that the governor has also echoed, and he says, he wants to move Guam and more with modern principles and like move us into like what might be considered the modern world while holding on and making sure that we preserve like the Antigua values and the way of life. Okay, we're going to go down the line again because we've only got a few minutes left, but really quickly, I'd like each of you to give me the three things, what areas of concern about your agencies in their current state stand out as your top three priorities.
Finances, for sure. Mm-hmm. And so we've got a dedicated grant writer to look for money, and then we have a development office that I said I want more money, so you guys show me the money. That's one thing. And also, people give GovGuam employees a really bad rap. They just say how they're not motivated to work and stuff like that. So I just want to support my staff and provide them with the resources and opportunities. And then I want us to be with technology. I want to make sure that we have what a telecommunication station needs to be competitive. And I'm not saying that we're going to compete with the private sector, but I just want to make sure that they have state-of-the-art equipment so that we can run with the big boys.
All right, outstanding. I have three areas that stand out in your mind.
Three areas basically, because part of my responsibility is also the Guam Energy Office, but I will be looking to be more competitive in the federal grants area and looking for more resources for that agency. And in the areas, of course, in financing, we are mostly federal funding, and what local funding we have, we generate. But it's still insufficient to carry us through, and so I will be seeking other ways to make sure that our really unique and fragile environment is protected.
Okay, Joe?
They always say, what do you do when you're trying to open up a business? And they say location is number one. My take to that is all three are location. My take is that y cultura y lenguaje necesario na para unuha na voz, one voice, and the three options are Chamorro, Chamorro, Chamorro. Anything that eat, breathe, and sleeps Chamorro is all about this department. And I believe it's critical, it's very critical, especially in the military build-up, that we take some ownership and there's a united front, and that the Department of Chamorro Affairs should take a great lead, not just on the Chamorro Village, the Hagatnya Restoration, and all the Kaha, the arts. It needs to go in. I just went to a fishery conference at Hilton, and I'm gravely concerned that the talazeros and all the fishermen out there are discombobulated. Man matsantay tao to hudsun tisina man halum ni paro fan talazero. That the whole idea of the museum situation of the federal government says, okay, here's the proverbial carrot, we'll give you a museum, we'll give somebody towards a museum, but we'll build it on the other side of our walls. No. Archaeological findings, artifacts, they belong to the people of Guam, and we need to take ownership to that. And I challenge every one of us, Todi Chamorro, Panguentus, Densangan, Lakmus Pinitin Mizu, Na Tumuzu, Hapasina, Sahamzu, Mantomtom.
All right, so here's our last question because we are almost way out of time. One word from each of you, please. And we'll start with Kathy, then go to Ivan, then go to Joe. Last question. In 6 months, people will see my agency as?
Advanced.
Okay.
Efficient.
From the Guam EPA, efficient. And Joe?
Chamorro.
All right. Kathy Gogui, Ivan Kanata, and Joe Cameron. Best of luck to you. Thank you so much for everything you're doing for the government. Good luck and thanks for being
Thank
here
you,
tonight.
Jason.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
having me.